Man, you thought Tom Hanks had it bad. Wilson! You'll get it in a minute. Go, Don't Go is brought to us by director Alex Knapp and stars Olivia Luccardi and Alex Knapp. We follow Adam, played by Alex Knapp, a man in isolation in small-town America. He's seemingly all by himself in this small town, and haunted by his past and the fact that he's in total isolation. As the story goes on, we see the effects of a person's psyche from being in total isolation, and we slowly learn what might have happened and why Adam is the way that he is now. You may have noticed that I was being a bit vague about what exactly is going on in this movie. And that was purposeful because I feel like this movie will be best if you know nothing about what's actually going on going into this film. Now, you get answers to a lot of things to a degree, but there are things that you don't get specific answers to. You do get kind of broad answers to basically what's going on here, but I'm letting you know up front there are some things that will be left open at the end of this movie. However, the story arc and everything involved in that is answered and taken care of by the time the credits roll. This movie was a slow burn, but oh my god, it is so damn interesting. The entire time you are left wondering what's going on exactly, what has happened here. But instead of the movie having some exposition dump where it just tells you all the information, it shows you, you see what's happened, you know what the protagonist knows. He does not have all the answers, and sometimes due to the amount of time he's been in isolation and the effects that's had on his psyche, he may not always be the most reliable narrator, if you will. There's definitely some times in this movie where you kind of have to look between the lines to see what's really going on here. And I love that. This movie didn't treat me like I was stupid. It let me see what happened. It let me make my own assumptions and judgments on what's going on here. And it did a wonderful job doing this with its visual storytelling. The vast majority of this movie is just Adam, all by himself, doing things out in the world. There are some flashback moments and possibly some hallucinations that do include a couple of other characters, but the vast majority of this movie is just Adam all by himself. You really get that feeling of being totally alone and isolated in this movie. How would someone deal with that? How would you deal with being all alone for an extended period of time? Much like Tom Hanks' character in Castaway, you would probably start to break a bit. And Tom Hanks had Wilson in Castaway, and here Adam has his memories, which do start to seem like they bleed over to reality here or there. You're not always sure if what he's seeing is a memory that could somewhat be bleeding over into reality or just an outright hallucination. The guy is clearly starting to break, and he's doing everything he can to just hold it together. And it was great seeing this. I was sitting there watching this movie from beginning to end, just waiting, just wanting to get a little bit more information as it slowly gave it out to me. The movie is absolutely a slow burn, but it had a fantastic pace. I was constantly watching, looking around the world, just looking for every little bit of information I could pick up to piece together what was going on. I loved this brand of storytelling. It made me feel accomplished and didn't treat me like a fucking dumbass. So by the time the end rolled around, I knew what was going on here more or less. Not because someone told me, but because the movie visually showed it. It let me figure it out, and I really appreciate when movies do this. I really enjoyed the story here, and even more so the execution of this great little interesting story. Now, in the performance department, this movie is almost wholly on the back of Alex Knapp, and he does a fantastic job. You absolutely believe this guy out here in the middle of nowhere all by himself. And really that's saying something, because not only did Alex Knapp play the part of Adam, he was also the director of the movie. Pulling double duty in a movie is hard enough, but when you're pulling double duty in a movie to where you're the main actor and pretty much the only person on screen the vast majority of the time, and pretty much the entire movie is reliant on your performance and you pull it off, that is really an achievement. And Knapp does a fantastic job on both fronts here. As mentioned before, the execution of this story is fantastically done. But on top top of that, Knapp's performance is wonderful as well. A lot of this movie, he is just silent, going about the world and doing things. And we learn about a lot of what's going on through his physical performance. Many of his emotions are projected to us, the viewer, through his subtle facial expressions. It's never overdone or over the top. This is some masterful work here. Now, as I mentioned, we also get a couple of other performances here, most notably Olivia Liccardi as Kay. She also does a fantastic job here, but it's really her chemistry with Alex Knapp's Adam that really sells the performance. The vast majority of what we see between these two characters is in the beginnings of their relationship when they first met prior to the events of this film in flashback form. And the contrast between Adam's quiet, meek, subdued character and Kay's free-spirited, spontaneous character come together wonderfully. We see a snippet of a believable story of two characters from two different lifestyles coming together to complement each other. And while both performers do their part in selling this part of the movie, it is Liccardi who truly sells this aspect of the film. All the performances here are very emotional, believable, and just a joy to watch all the way to the end. Now, this is a lower budgeted film, but you can't tell from what's on screen. They did a great job of using what they had at their disposal to great effect here. It never seems like they overextended themselves. Everything seems like they took what they had, what they knew that they could do, and just totally capitalized on that. The movie overall just has a really great look. I totally believed everything that was going on here. It's not the most grand looking film ever. There's not huge big shots of just some crazy looking shit or anything. But what we do get to see is done very well, and never does it seem like it's low budget. Now, two technical areas where this movie absolutely excels is in its camera work and its editing. There's some very interesting camera work here, but you add in the absolutely fantastic editing and it sets this movie above many others. The editing in conjunction with the camera movements is what really killed it here. We sway from flashback to current day reality and back and forth throughout this film with ease. It's masterfully done and at times kind of jarring, but not jarring in a bad way. It's jarring that you think you're in one place and then you realize you're not. This is where you are. This is the time you are. It's all purposeful and very effective. This is a very visual movie, and while yes, it does tell some stuff through dialogue, a great deal of this story, and especially the world and what's going on, is told visually. And I absolutely adored the way that they did this. You can tell that every single movement of this camera, every single edit was meticulously thought out, planned, and executed. And it made the movie visually a joy to watch. Guys, I really enjoyed Go, Don't Go. I understand that I was a bit vague in my explanation of what the movie's about. And like I said, that's because I truly believe that going into this movie not knowing exactly what it's about will absolutely heighten the experience. And yeah, I know you can say that about a lot of movies, but with this one, it absolutely matters. It will totally add something to the experience far and above many other experiences if you just know as little as possible going in here. While it is a slow burn, this is a very interesting, thought-provoking story with some truly great performances and some of the most creative visual storytelling I've seen from an independent film in some time. And while like for many movies, this one isn't going to be for everyone, for those that it is for, Go, Don't Go is going to be an absolutely fantastic ride and is absolutely worth a buy.
Do it! Do it!
Show me the money!
Do it!
You motherfucker!
So,
Show me the money!
do it!
This was a wonderful movie that I enjoyed every second of. It's a movie that you'll probably want to watch at least 2 times just so that you can go through that second time and see things from a totally different perspective. So if you enjoy slow burns with extremely interesting, intricate stories that are very visual in their storytelling, then give Go, Don't Go a chance one night, and I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised. So there it is, guys, my review of Go, Don't Go. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, small town USA.
The idea of you is the only thing keeping me alive.
The idea of me is slowly killing you.
Now Now, while I mentioned that this movie does give you answers to a lot of the questions, I also said there's a couple of things that it doesn't give you very direct answers to. And in the very end of this movie, there is something that happens, and it's pretty clear that how it happens on screen is not necessarily exactly how it's happening in reality. I'm not gonna spoil it or anything, but I do feel like that this moment in the film will be greatly debated by those that see this movie. I know it got me to thinking, that's for sure. And if you have seen this movie, you know what part I'm talking about. And the main questions that came to mind were what exactly transpired within this place in the past that the end of this movie takes place at. What specifically took place there in the past? Was it nefarious in nature or something else? If it was nefarious, then what exactly is within this place that the end of the movie takes place in? I know that seems really vague, but like I said, if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. It really got me thinking, and I was just curious, how dark does this story really want to go? Or maybe that's just my twisted up fucking head. It could be nothing like that, and that's just me and my fucked up psyche. Yeah, probably.